This has to be one of the most bizarre reactions to a deserved firing. I personally don't play Guild Wars 2, which is why there will be some completely unrelated gameplay in the background of this video, but there has been a recent controversy we need to address. If you have not heard, Jessica Price and Peter Fries were game developers that worked at ArenaNet, best known for their work on Guild Wars. Jessica Price is, as far as I understand, a very vocal game developer that discusses a lot of issues in gaming like inclusivity, but she's also someone who has stirred up controversy before for her comments following John Bain, or as he most notably was known as, Total Biscuit's passing. Immediately following his passing, she tweeted, "The kindest thing I can say is I'm glad he, being Total Biscuit, is no longer around to keep doing harm." Anyway, now recently Jessica Price started a Twitter thread which just was the start of a huge mess. And this Twitter thread started out with her saying, "Since I spent all kinds of time saying it on a Reddit AMA, and I haven't talked about actual game development on Twitter in a while, here's a thread about writing for the PC character in an MMO." She next tweets, "The dirty secret is I'm not sure if it is possible to make an MMORPG character compelling, because people have different expectations about what the character will be as opposed to a pre-designed character in a single-player game." Honestly, this starts out fine, and she tweets a lot about this subject as she is, or well, was a part of the narrative team at ArenaNet. But one user, a streamer known for playing Guild Wars 2, Durar, I think that's how you say his name, in a respectful way didn't agree with her opinion and even starts out complimenting her thread saying, "Really interesting thread to read. However, allow me to disagree slightly. I don't believe the issue lies in the MMORPG genre itself. I believe the issue lies in the constraints of the living story narrative design." He would also add a few more tweets supporting his point of view, and then he would be attacked by Price. She would quote his tweet saying, "Today, in being a female game developer, allow me, a person who does not work with you, explain to you how to do your job." A quick side note, recently in a stream before this incident, this same streamer complimented her.
Like, this was the perfect time to kill him off, because we needed something more. I love Jessica Price's responses. She is like the god of fucking AMAs. Like, she just gives great answers all the way through. It's absolutely amazing to read through.
Anyway, Durar would next say, "So much for an open discussion, I guess. I mean, no disrespect at all. Never did, never will. Neither did I imply I knew better, nor has this anything to do with gender. Never did, never will. I will retract my comment because obviously I'm in the wrong forum for this kind of talk." And following this, people would point out that Jessica Price's reaction was rude. And she would follow this up by saying, "Like the next rando asshat who attempts to explain the concept of branching dialogue for me as if, you know, having worked in game narrative for a fucking decade, I have never heard of it, is getting insta-blocked. PSA. And additionally, since we've got a lot of hurt man feels today, let me make something clear. This is my feed. I'm not on the clock here. I'm not your emotional courtesan just because I'm a dev. Don't expect me to pretend to like you here. The attempts of fans to exert ownership over our personal lives and times are something I am hardcore about stopping. You don't own me, and I don't owe you." And another tweet she would state in quotations, "As an amateur fantasy writer, I would like to tell you, a professional fantasy writer, unquote, maybe listen to yourself and stop right there, my dude." Next, she would have another back and forth with a user leading to her saying, "The comment I was talking about wasn't necessarily sexist. Your response implying my reaction was overblown or my experience of it didn't happen, however, is the shit women in games deal with every time we say anything about our experiences, and you just used your one pre-block strike." And the user would respond saying, "I certainly wasn't trying to imply that it didn't happen. Your reaction in that first tweet, without further context, came across that their criticism, because they're an amateur, their words meant less. I would have responded the same regardless of sex or gender." Acting like a child, she would last say, "Sure, dude, now get out of my fucking feed with your assumptions and your entitlement to my time." Another Guild Wars 2 developer would step in, being Peter Fries, replying to a user who said, "Of course people are going to be sympathetic to the dude who got reduced to nothing but a mansplaining rando asshat, just for trying to have a meaningful discussion. I understand the desire to defend a colleague, but playing the whole gender card is just sad." Peter would respond saying, "Here's a bit of insight that I legitimately hope he reflects on. She never asked for his feedback." Someone would react saying, "What the F? What kind of way of looking at the world is that? We didn't ask for a fan fans' input when we put our thoughts on social media, customer relations, and Peter would respond saying, these are our private social media accounts. Imagine you're an astronomer and you start sharing some things you've learned in the last few months since you began a research project observing Saturn, only to have observation techniques explained to you by a layman. Anyway, there's more responses, but this is the main gist of the situation. Two game developers decided to be rude. Jessica Price did not have to respond, and also the defense that these are their private accounts is bullshit. Twitter is a public platform, and there's a way to make your account private, but she and Peter Fries did not do that. The streamer was respectful, and even has a record of complimenting her, and while I'm sure people have been asses in the past, this response to this streamer's comment was uncalled for, and her other childish remarks were just plain disrespectful and unprofessional. And obviously their employer, ArenaNet, had enough, publicly announcing the firings of both Peter and Jessica. Now, how do you think the reaction from the media would be? Two developers decided to act like fools publicly, being assholes to their community. If you thought the media would side with ArenaNet, you were wrong. Brianna Wu, a known game developer, would react saying, so when ArenaNet fired Jessica Price, what they also got rid of is accountability. If you treat women poorly, Jessica will let you know. Same with POC or transgender people. ArenaNet just fired one of the strongest voices in the entire industry for inclusion and diversity. And from this one tweet, I guess being rude and acting unprofessional is alright, as she's a vocal voice for inclusivity and diversity. I guess that excuses her behavior. The media has also been clinging onto random Reddit users posting and bragging they can get anyone fired now. From ArenaNet, Kotaku published an article, and more comments coming from Jessica Price, who said, nobody at ArenaNet is safe from the hand of Reddit. The moment a dev steps out of line or tries to talk back to a player, guess what? They'll know we got their hands on their throat and we can squeeze anytime we like. The message is very clear, especially to women at the company. If Reddit wants you fired, we'll fire you. Get out of there and make sure the players have a good time, and make sure you smile while they hit you. A Kotaku user would respond to the article saying it's easy to point to Price's original comments as crossing the boundary or unprofessional in the context of her job, but of course that's not really the point for the people who wanted her fired. And they would also continue on, but that's the gist of their comment, and Kotaku's Heather Alexandra would react saying, a major thing people seem to misunderstand is that Price is not speaking in an official capacity for the company while on Twitter. That's a space where she is speaking as a private citizen. The idea that developers should on perpetual call to endure the various nitpicks and armchair design of enthusiasts and rabid fans is silly. ArenaNet's decision, as you note, set a precedent. That precedent now shows that internet trolls can pressure a company for the slightest breach and successfully lobby until an employee can be fired. That they can target someone and drive them out of a job using the lightest of cause. Even if that's not ArenaNet's intent, that's the effect, and it should give people pause. Polygon would create a one-sided article just like Kotaku's, also using comments made by other developers who called ArenaNet cowardly pieces of shit. Rock Paper Shotgun pretty much did the exact same thing with their article titled ArenaNet Throws Two Guild War II Writers to the Wolves. Senior editor of Rock Paper Shotgun, John Walker, reacted saying, utterly astonished by the pure idiocy and wretchedness of ArenaNet, literally saying to an abusive hate mob that they value your input over and above the value of their employees is completely disgusting. What a disgraceful shit show. And pretty much that is how the reaction has been, at least from the media. I have to say, we're at a point where the games media will defend about any progressive or social justice voice, no matter the situation, and I find that truly bizarre and saddening. Dror, a streamer partnered with ArenaNet, was attacked, and I can't find any evidence of a hate mob. The only comments I've seen that both of these developers responded to seemed respectful, and all I keep reading are excuses, people saying, well, she's had to deal with being a woman in this industry and this is a one-time thing. No, she has a track record of making unfortunate, rude, disrespectful comments. Sure, we could have a conversation if she should have been fired, but I respect ArenaNet's decision, and for what we know, there could be more to why she was terminated. But I'll finish this video by saying this situation and the reaction by game journalists is fucking horrible. I completely understand how terrible and toxic some gamers are. I've dealt with multiple death threats, and I don't know how many discussions disgusting comments, but using a random Reddit user comment to try and say ArenaNet will fire anyone the hate mob wants is an extreme reach. This company was justified by getting rid of a developer that became toxic herself, and I'm not quite sure why the other guy got fired, as his comments weren't too overboard like hers, but the company clearly did not want to be associated anymore, and I'll say I think a majority of people understand that. As a society, we've just gotten to a point where everyone thinks you can say what you want and be an a-hole and there won't be consequences. I don't know how many more examples we need of that of not being true. Companies have and will get rid of someone who is a problem, someone who is hurting their business, and this is exactly what just happened. I think people need to know this streamer wasn't a random guy. He's a partner with ArenaNet for Guild Wars 2, and still I have not heard an apology from Jessica Price or Peter Fries for their disrespectful comments that they directed at him. But the one thing I will also say about this games industry is how one-sided it always is, whether that be with the mess that came with Kingdom Come Deliverance or the fact Far Cry 5 was not political enough for Polygon and many other journalists. I really do feel that this is a growing problem, and I don't know what will change that. Anyway, this is just my thoughts, and I would love to know your perspective, even if it is different than mine, in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more content like this, and I'll see you later.